I'm Evelyn Murphy. I want to welcome you to this gathering. It's both a celebration and a briefing on our data gathering for this year. And we're thrilled to have you here.
It works.
It works. Okay. We're thrilled to have you here. First of all, I want to introduce Katie O'Neill, who is the Executive Vice President of the Greater Boston Chamber of Commerce. Katie O'Neill is the Executive Vice President, which means if you look on the website, you will see huge numbers of both very sophisticated policy roles that the Chamber of Commerce engages in, as well as gatherings of particularly women, the Women's Network. She's in charge of all of that. And so this is a woman who basically runs the day-to-day show. We're proud to have her, and we're thrilled to have her as our host today. Please welcome Katie O'Neill.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Evelyn. I didn't expect an intro like that, but thank you all for being here. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the new chamber offices. How many people have been to our office space yet? Anyone? We've got 99 new people who are here. So welcome. We are very proud of the space. It offers us the opportunity to host our members, and so we're pleased to have you here today. In particular, the mayor is in the house. So thank you. Please join me in welcoming and thanking Mayor Walsh. He is a friend to the chamber, friend to the business community. I am so pleased to be a member of the Women's Workforce Council and to work with you and your team, Mayor Walsh, on this initiative. I would also like to thank the many talented people who are the driving force behind the council. So certainly you just met one of my idols, Evelyn Murphy. She is joined by Kathy Minahan as a co-chair of the council. We have Victoria Budson also of the council. And would like to also mention we've got a talented man in the room, at the front of the room, member of the council, Bob Rivers, CEO of Eastern Bank, also a member of the Chamber's Executive Committee. So at the Chamber, we are proud to be signers of the compact, and we believe that creating this compact as well as getting data will provide us with real progress towards eliminating the wage gap. So we will be taking notes, as all of you will be, about what we need to do. We make sure to get our information in on time in a timely fashion. But more importantly, we know the Chamber's role is much more powerful than just submitting our own data. We know that we can be a strong voice in encouraging other businesses like yours to also be a part of this compact. For 2016, we had 69 companies. That represents 112,000 individuals and $11 billion in annual reporting earnings completed the survey. Now we are at, I think Mary Rose told me, 214 companies with a goal of 250 by the end of 2017. If we are able to do this, the survey data and information we collect should encapsulate about 25% of Boston's workforce, which will give us important data for the future. So as an organization, we are committed to women. As Evelyn said, we've been focused on women and our Women's Network and advancing the role of women for a number of years. We started 24 years ago with our Women's Network. I know I don't look like I've been here 24 years, but I have. I was here at the beginning, and I like to think that the Chamber's had a role through this network in connecting women and men to the role of advancing women. So over the past 24 years, our Women's Network has been focused on creating opportunities and a pipeline of talent for the future. We have featured hundreds of women within our Women's Network breakfasts. We have honored the accomplishments of women with our Pinnacle Awards, including for Evelyn and Kathy Murphy. And we have also, sorry, Kathy Minahan. Right. Kathy Murphy also is one of our honorees. And we also have a year-long leadership program which is dedicated to developing the pipeline of women. And of course, our proud moment in being involved in pay equity legislation. So the Chamber is committed to this work. We are optimistic about the future, and we are proud partners to be partnering with Megan Costello, Mayor Walsh, and this entire initiative on the Women's Compact. So thank you for being here this morning, and I will turn it back to you, Evelyn.
Okay. Thank you, Katie. Next, I want to introduce the professor who is really the intellectual force behind why we're all here, Azurba Stavros. if you have to, we have ourselves right now with this computer program a way in which we can all work together, because it is assured that that no one's data will be compromised or given to anybody else. The intellectual force to create this, because it is unique, because nobody else in the country, no government, no private sector interest, no nonprofit, nobody else has this kind of capacity. We have the only data in the country like this. So, and the intellectual driving force of this is the founder of the Harari Computer Institute at Boston University, where we also now have our Boston Women's Workforce Council offices. And so please welcome Professor Dr. Azar Estavros. And by the way, he also makes this stuff understandable to us non-techies. So Azar, please welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, and thank you all. The best times are the times when I share technology and see how it really changes society. So let me just say a few words about the technology and about the future of that technology and opportunities. This is an old technology. It has existed for 30 or 40 years, except that it was sitting on the shelf. Nobody was using it. And at BU, we actually made it practical. We made it possible to deploy. This is not about anonymizing data or removing personal identifying information. No, it's not about that. It is about allowing your private data, your company data, to be available with other private data like it to compute aggregate analytics over all of them without sharing your data. Your data stays in your company. It never leaves it. So every time I hear the word data is collected, data is not collected. Data sits in your company. We just move the computation to be done on top of all the private data in all the companies. This is the name of the technology is multi-party computation. And the only information revealed is whatever the group wants to compute. So whatever the group wants to compute, let's say the difference between wages, men and women, different types of jobs, that's the only thing that gets revealed. We don't even know who contributed the data. We don't even know the same data for each company. So this is really a very powerful technology. I'm very happy to have taken that technology to practice. This technology allows us to do computation or answer questions which we were never able to even ask before. So think about it. There are reasons, for example, that you cannot ask a question because you know it cannot be computed. Let's take an example, healthcare. We want to join data from the US and from India to solve problems in medical. But the rules in the US say you cannot take it out. This data cannot leave the country. So you say, well, we can never compute that. Now we can. So this is a technology that allows us to answer questions that we couldn't even ask before. The Boston Women's Workforce Council, I'm so grateful for them because they give this technology a chance. They give it the chance to be shown to the rest of the world that it's possible to do this. People say, oh, theoretically, it will never be used. Guess what? It is being used. You give it legitimacy. That's very important. And I would add that the Boston Workforce Council, the 100% talent application, is the perfect application for the technology. So, and let me tell you that we have benefited from this. We go to NSF and now we tell them, look, this technology can make a difference for social good. And guess what? NSF comes back and says, wonderful. We got 2 grants in just the last few weeks. I'm happy to, and this is the first time this is made public. NSF is funding the future development of the technology because they see the potential. And really very proud of that, and thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm excited about the potential, we're all excited about potential. And let me just say that, you know, I'm always presented as the one who did all of this. No, it's not me. They're sitting in the front here, you'll hear from them later. It's my wonderful team at the Harari Institute. And that includes, you know, other colleagues as well as students, undergraduates. So I'm really proud, and please give them a hand. They are the ones who deserve the thank you. And I'll be remiss not to say a few words about the Boston Workforce Council. We are very proud to have them at BU. If you have any reason to drop by, please stop by and visit them at Boston University and stop by my office. I'll be happy to say hi as well. And I want to thank the 100% talent, the mayor, the council, Evelyn, and you're wonderful. With that, I'll turn to you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Esther. Thank you. As you can see, we really, it's a happy crowd and a collaboration that's working very well. You know, a couple weeks ago we had a birthday party, national birthday party, for the 4th of July. And we celebrated our 241st birthday. If you recall the famous words by Thomas Jefferson, we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. He didn't say men and women. He didn't say men, including slaves. And we've spent the last 241 years trying to fulfill and achieve this goal, this promise in America. The gender wage gap is the measure around the inequality for women that we still have to go after. It is the most singular measure of inequality for women in the workplace and beyond. So, 3.5 years ago, Mayor Marty Walsh walks into the mayor's office and he says, of course we should be equal, men and women. It's about time. And he put behind that statement of his values the force that it's taken to build a unique situation here in Boston. He put Megan Costello, his real driving force, the Office of Women's Advancement that he created, put her in charge of what is now a brilliant model. And Megan, by the way, is a force to be contended with. She performs and delivers with an intellect that is hard to match, but she delivers in ways that I have never seen in public office and in politics. So this woman is a force. So the mayor puts Megan in charge of this program to eliminate the wage gap. And it's two parts. It's the salary negotiation workshops that help women know and advance our own pay equity. And on the other side, the Boston Women's Workforce Council, 100% Talent Compact, which works with employers to do the same thing. You have to have both. One or the other doesn't work, but the two of them give us the opportunity to eliminate the wage gap and critically to measure our progress. Last Friday I was in Buffalo, New York, because the National Association of Women's Commissions throughout the country, from as far away as Hawaii and Florida, everybody was assembled. And I was asked to give the keynote speech and to talk about this Boston model of data and action. Not just conceptually, because it's so important, but because we have now 3.5 years of experience at actually doing this, at actually building the capacity to show and measure our progress. And the commissions throughout the country are interested in this. They want, the agenda is adapt and adopt this. Adopt this two-pronged agenda and adapt it to your place. So we are right now getting national attention and exposure for what this mayor has done. In part because he pronounced it, in part because he put resources behind it, and then he stood firmly and never wavered on giving us the attention and the support to make this happen in Massachusetts. So when we begin to show measurable change and progress on this wage gap, which I truly believe will happen in the next several years, the credit is going to go to all of us, but it's particularly going to go to our mayor, Marty Walsh.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, and you gave me far too much credit there. The talent, the appreciation shouldn't go to me. It should go to everyone who put together the compact and the work that's been done for years, work that you've done, you know, as we said before, breaking the glass ceiling, being elected statewide, Lieutenant Governor, all you've done, the work Kathy Minahan's done. Thank you, Kathy, as well, all the work you've done, breaking your own ceilings. That's who gets the credit for this, and we should share it. Megan Costello absolutely has done an incredible job in the Office of Women's Advancement, pushing not just me, but pushing anyone that she can get a hold of about moving forward. Mary Rose as well on her team, who's done an incredible job, and her whole team, who's here to say thank you for what you've done. Boston University, Ezra spoke. Thank you, BU. BU stepped in and was a key partner at the right time. Katie in the chamber, pushing Jim Rooney. You didn't have to push Jim Rooney, but Jim Rooney jumping in at the right time. As I mentioned, Bob Rivers as well, and so many other folks at the right time. Thank you. I want to thank all the people that are here today and all the companies that you represent. I'm happy to be here to talk about making another huge step in closing the wage gap. It's been a great progress of the 100% Talent Compact since we began. As the Lieutenant Governor mentioned, this is the first in the nation effort to analyze the employers and their wage gap. Our efforts now is to make sure that other cities and towns and states around the country do the same thing. It's important for us to close that gap in Boston, but truly it has to become a movement. And the movement becomes by getting other places involved, other elected officials involved, other businesses involved, other communities involved, because we want to continue to do that, to push forward. As you heard earlier, we started the compact with 69 companies. Our first report was in January, data from 112,000 employees across the greater Boston, representing about $11 billion in earnings. It's pretty incredible when you think about, for years, probably 241 years of businesses not sharing anything, or most of them, and that information was shared. You already heard the numbers about the new people coming on, and we're going from 11% of the workforce to about 25% of the workforce understanding what the wages are and what that gap could potentially be. We have sponsors. You heard Bob's names mentioned twice by me and 3 times now today. Mass Mutual, Partners Healthcare, Putnam Investments, State Street, Vertec Pharmaceuticals. Some of our largest employers in the city, in the state, quite honestly, in some cases in the country, here in Boston, that are passing this information on. I want to thank them for leading the way in closing the wage gap. Other people are taking notice, there's no question about it, that people are talking about it. We're tackling this wage gap in many different ways. I know my first conversation, I think, from addressing the council was talking about we can't legislate our way out there, because I was a state representative for 17 years, and I think during my time as a legislator, I think we passed 4 wage gap bills to close the wage gap, and nothing ever got closed. And every time we'd have another conversation about this legislation is going to close the wage gap, and we talked about it again, and I think they're even they used to talk about it in Congress, about closing the wage gap. I don't think they're talking about closing anything now, except for the borders. But anyway, so we have to do it, and we are doing it. And so the legislation was passed, which is important. I'm not just diminishing that. Salary transparency with businesses by doing training sessions like the one you're doing today is important. Also, the negotiation workshops is important. Having women and people understand the importance of negotiating a salary. 4,400 women all across the greater Boston area have been trained. I see it in my own office. When we talk to people, when I talk to a guy who's getting a job, and the salaries for the most part in the city is set. But, sometimes there's a range. A guy has no problem saying, I'd like to be at the top of that range pay. And oftentimes the women that will get a job, when I talk to them, you don't necessarily hear that all the time. Although lately I've been hearing it a lot, so Megan's working. And so there is a difference, and you do see a difference. And sometimes it is hard, but the salary negotiation workshops are helping. So one thing I want to make sure here today, because we do have a lot of opportunities here, we want to make sure that we continue to help train women on the negotiation on salaries. We all have a role to play in changing the culture. The Lieutenant Evelyn was so very kind to me, but this is not just Marty Walsh. This is all of us have an opportunity, and we should be working to change this culture. We're doing it at City Hall. We've hired more women of leadership in City Hall than ever before. Just look at the numbers, look at the people, look at the places, and you'll see that we've never had the representation of women, or people of color, quite honestly, as we have today in City Hall in the leadership positions. But we still have more work to do. I mean, I'm not satisfied by saying, well, we have more women than we did, 10 years ago. That's not good enough. We have to do more. Women make up 52% of our population in the city of Boston. So we want to continue to make sure that women are in high levels of business, on boards. We hear this all the time. We need to continue to push that and challenge people. And I will, as much as I can, every time I have an opportunity to, whether it's in front of the chamber or wherever I go, I talk about that opportunity. My talking points today aren't just today. My talking points that I'm talking about today are released once or twice or 3 times a week at different speeches that I give across the city of Boston. If women are paid less than their male counterparts, it hurts families, our economy, and the city as a whole. That's a proven fact. There's no question about it. That's undeniably a true statement, because we look and we see. You know the numbers of single-family households in the city of Boston led by women. It makes a big, big difference. Boston is definitely a city of opportunity. There's no question about it. We want to make sure the environment in which all women can make sure they succeed. It's something that we have an opportunity and a chance here to continue to lead the way. Your work in this room is helpful on how to get us there. I want to thank you for playing a part in shifting the culture and closing the wage gap. And I know that there's going to be lunch served. The important part of this conversation isn't what happened with me and before me. The important part of this conversation is what happens after lunch. So I'd like to ask you all if you could please stay for the training to understand it, because that's how we make a difference. So again, I want to thank you all. In particular, I just want to give a shout out to three very special people. Evelyn Murphy, who's done an incredible job. Kathy Menahan, who's done an incredible job. And Megan Costello, who's done an incredible job. Thank you. Now I get a chance to bring up Megan Costello. I'll just turn over to Megan.
Thanks so much, Mayor, and thank you all for being here. What a great turnout that we have. And as the Mayor said, we do want to make sure that people stay after lunch for the important part of the conversation that folks from the Career Institution are going to lead us through in what the actual data training will be. We have a couple other opportunities, so if you need, I know I need a couple trainings, so there'll be some other opportunities in August as well for data trainings, but we are looking to do a data submission. Where's Azure? Submission is the right word, right? Yes. Sort of? Okay. Data submission in September. So that's the goal, is for us to understand this afternoon what is the information and how is it put into the system so that it is anonymized. So with that, we want to move on to lunch. It's a little bit going to be crowded in the section where we're doing lunch. So we're going to ask folks to go out through this back door. The bathrooms are back there as well, and you're going to loop around. We are going to do a couple of photos with the mayor, with the Hariri folks, and some of the fellows and interns. And I do, just before we close, want to recognize the number of people that really make this work possible. Obviously we have BU and Azur's whole team. We have Mary Rose and Annalise, who I don't think many of you have met Annalise yet. She's brand new to the council, officially on staff. We also have the Mayor's Office of Women's Advancement here today, Pat Nickerson and Brenna Callahan, and all the interns. So if you guys can all just wave, and so everybody can know who's the staff behind this that really makes this all possible. So thank you to all of you. So lunch will be ready in about 2 minutes. So if folks kind of want to take a bathroom break, go out that back door, and then come in back through this way for the food, and we'll take these photos. So thanks all for being here. Appreciate it.